Welcome. Well, you're at home with Jim and Joy, and we are delighted that you have welcomed us into your home. Well, you're an important part of our EWTN family, and we would love to hear from you. So today, if you have a question or a comment, please send us an email, jimandjoy@ewtn.com. Well, today, our show is going to be about Barbara Padilla. She's absolutely beautiful, international opera singer. First, we got to see her in 2009. You may have all seen her as a runner-up on America's Got Talent. Since then, she has been on an incredible journey as a cancer survivor. And God has done a miracle with her voice, in her life, in her healing. It's just an unbelievable show, and she was so engaging physically, just absolutely beautiful, and with her talent.
You will be impacted when you see Barbara Padilla today. You know, Joy, St. John Paul II would say, become who you are. Live into who you're meant to be as a human being and the particular call that God has on your life. And Barbara does that. I mean, God has given her this beautiful soprano voice, operatic voice. And when she sings, just everything is so integrated. You know, we speak a lot about encounter. And so she reveals her soul, her spirit through her music, and then she gets this 4th-degree cancer and suffers dramatically, terribly. And she's going to share her journey with you about that and how she comes to that place, you know, where she says, if God heals me, that is wonderful. If God doesn't heal me, God is great. God is God. And we all have to come to that place. Now, thank God she survives this. She's purified. Her music is better than ever, even though the cancer attacked her very voice. But the time comes for all of us where we won't be healed. And we need to get to that place, whether we're healed or not, to say, I trust God. Jesus, I trust in you. God is good. And I trust him, whatever the outcome. And that's what Barbara Padilla did.
Well, Barbara was tried, tested, and she is madly in love with Jesus. And when she sings, heaven comes down, you go up, and it's such a beautiful encounter to hear her gifted voice that is truly God-given.
So let's enter into this time. It's going to be a beautiful viewing, a powerful testimony, and we pray that it ministers deeply and dearly to you and increases your faith. Let's watch, let's listen, let's be moved by Barbara Padilla.
Welcome back. Well, you are an important part of our EWTN family, and we would love to hear from you. If you have a question for today's guest, give us a call during our live broadcast. If you're in North America, call us at 1-800-221-9460. Outside of North America, you can reach us at area code 205-271-2980. Or you can always send us an email, jimandjoy@ewtn.com, and hopefully we can use your question right here on the air. Well, today, I told you we were going to bring you somebody beautiful and talented, and here she is. Her name is Barbara Padilla. And Barbara, we want to welcome you to At Home with Jim and Joy.
Thank you very much. It is a real honor to finally meet you guys and to be here in this section 6. Thank you so very much for giving me this space in your program.
Well, wonderful. Now, what we want our family at home to hear is I want you to share your spiritual journey. How did we get to be at this point in place and space and time in your life? So take us through your spiritual journey.
Well, that's a long story, but I think everything that to this point, everything that has happened to this point, it has led for me to be here to share what the Lord has allowed me to go through. it's been a long journey. I was born in, I'm Mexican. I was born in Guadalajara, Jalisco, and when I was a student in the university, I felt some lumps. I mean, I've always been Catholic. I've always believed in God, but there was a turning point of my life, and I was in the university studying voice, and I was studying music, and I started to feel some lumps in my neck, and I thought, well, maybe those are muscles. Those are muscles that are going to just be there because I'm singing. No, they were not muscles. They were lumps. They were cancerous tumors that were growing, and well, we found out that I had stage 4 Hodgkin's disease, Hodgkin's lymphoma. That's it was a blessing to just catch them right before I died. but then everything changed. I mean, my journey started. My big journey started right there when they told me, you know what, you have cancer. But at the same time, I always, as I told you, I always had faith. I always believed in God. And I always believed that God had a plan in all of us. You just never know that the plan is for you to be sick, for you to get to the point that you can't do anything, to lose control of your life completely and to focus solely in God's plan.
Wow.
And then I started treatments and everything. I mean, and it was a journey that took me 5 years to conquer, finally, to beat this illness. At the beginning, I didn't know that what was going to change. You know, you go in there and, well, they tell you cancer. I was not too scared. I'm like, well, I'm going to have chemotherapy and everything is going to go back to normal. I was afraid of losing my hair, of course, as any 20-year-old could be, and then I discovered that it was not going to be just losing my hair. It was going to be a whole lot more. I had to start chemotherapy, and while I was in school, I wasn't going to just give up school. I kept going, and I had chemotherapy, and they told me, you know what, it's not working, and it's not working, and it's not working lasted 5 years, you know. But in those 5 years, wonderful things happened too. Like I was told, you're sick, and you're going to be losing all kinds of control of your life. You're going to be the sick one, and you are going to be sometimes hooked to a hospital bed, and somebody else is going to be taking care of you. And that's one of the most important things that I learned. Like, I am going to be on the other side of the coin, because you have to be merciful. You have to take care of the sick. You're always looking for something to do to please God, and that was like my thought. But no, sometimes you have to be the sick one for others to take care of you. You have to receive. That's difficult. That's difficult for all of us. You think that you have to do something for somebody else, but then you discover that it's beautiful also to, you don't have to do anything but let others take care of you. You have to understand God's will, because we don't know that God's will can be, well, you are the one that others need to take care of somebody. Because if you're not sick, or if there are no sick people, where are going to be those merciful ones that are going to be taking care of you? So it's in the fabric of life. You need the sick ones for others to take care of you. One thing that I remember, my friend told me, Barbara, if you have cancer, don't worry, because God is great and He is going to heal you. And I know it's the Holy Spirit reveals Himself, because I know I was not that good and I was not that smart, and I answered. But if God doesn't heal me, He is still great. Right. That's something that's so important for everybody to understand. If God doesn't heal you, He's still great. We want to trap God into this you're powerful because you heal. No, he's powerful, period. And if he doesn't heal you, then that is the best that can happen to you. He's powerful to be good. And sometimes being good is to even to go through an illness like that, like you have. And then you find the greatness of God in the midst of the suffering.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you never turn to him.
So when you came through your illness, right? And you're going through the illness and doing all the suffering. What about your voice? What was the prognosis of if you were healed? What was the prognosis, the statement that they said about singing?
I went back to Guadalajara and they told me you can't have a bone marrow transplant right now because you're not recovering. So they gave me more treatments. And like 2 months before I started my program in the University of Houston, 2 months before I had to travel to Houston forever, they told me, well, you're not well and you cannot go. But we're going to give you another treatment. It's going to be radiation in the neck area, but you have to know that you're never going to sing again. And I was trying to, in that moment, my whole life crumbled. Like, I was granted a full scholarship in the University of Houston because of the way my voice sounds. And you're telling me that it's not going to be me anymore. And a singer, that's what I was.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. And my mother was right next to me and she told me, the doctors are not God, and God has his own plan.
Barbara, let's just pause there for a moment.
Yes.
And we're going to pick that up. I think we want to go to Barbara singing Ave Maria. So let's view this and just enjoy the beauty of her singing. absolutely beautiful and for the glory of God, and it's wonderful for us to view that. I was wondering what you were thinking as you view yourself. What is that like for you? I know you can be very critical, but I'm thinking about your story. I'm thinking about you told you're never going to sing again. Do you recognize yourself there? Are you looking at that person saying, wow, that's something, or she's got some story, or who is that person? What do you do?
You know what? I have nothing but gratefulness for God, for allowing me to sing still. I was telling you before we started the program, we were talking about how everything that we have, every talent, everything, every single thing that we are capable of is gratuity, is given. It's a loan from God, and God can take it away from you. Whatever you have, God can take it away from you if it's for your own good and for His own glory. And well, as I told you, the doctors were telling me you're never going to sing again, and I was trying to reinvent myself in 1 or 2 seconds that took me to react. I mean, it was the longest 2 seconds of my life, I'm telling you. It was like, what is this joke? It felt like a joke, a bad joke from the Lord. I mean, I'm like, I have a new life about to start, and you are taking it away from me. But then it was like, okay, you gave it to me. You can take it away. And you're going to manage to give me something else if you take it away, because I am destined to be happy, because that's what that's why you created me. And it doesn't matter what you take away from me, you're going to give. If you are with me, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be joyful. Right. So the things that I underwent radiation, and they burnt me, and the voice never went away. The greatest thing is that I was hired during the main time of the treatment, of the radiation treatment. I was hired to sing masses the night of the treatment. I went to the treatment in the morning, and then I had to sing a mass, because that's, for some reason, somebody hired me to do the 9 masses of somebody that had just passed away, and I said yes, not knowing that I was going to have voice. I'm like, okay, when I lose my voice, I'll hire somebody else. I'll pass this job to somebody else. But no, I could go sing mass every night, and the priests were like, the doctors were telling me, how are you going to sing if can you talk? I'm like, the voice is intact, and everything was burnt, but somehow the voice was still there and never went away. And sure enough, I was traveling to Houston 2 months later. In January of 2000, I was traveling to Houston to start my program, to start my degree in the University of Houston. But I had a relapse. I had a very, very bad relapse. The thing is that I was already living a dream in my new life in Houston, learning about music, doing what I like the most, being what I like to be the most, which is a singer. And then during the summer of 2000, I stopped eating, and then I went to the doctor there at the university center, the health center, and the Dr. Gray gave me the news that, well, you have a relapse, and your stomach is completely pressed by tumors, and I'm like, I'm done. I am done. This is not going to happen. I mean, what am I doing here? I am just going to go home, and I'm going to die in there peacefully. Leave me alone. But Peter Jacoby, the conductor of the opera, Floyd Robinson, the director of the health center, Dr. Gray, they were like, we are not going to leave you. We're not going to let you just give up. Just go on and have the bone marrow transplant. And I'm like, I am not even a candidate. I'm going to die trying. And then I'm like, okay, let's just let him decide. And I'm like, I'm going to go home. I need to be with my mother. in Guadalajara in Mexico, and I'm going to have my bone marrow transplant over there. So I went there, and and they are like, we're going to save your spot here at the university. Your scholarship is still yours. Just go get well. And I went back to Mexico, and yes, I did have a bone marrow transplant. That was the biggest risk of my life, because they told me you're not going to make it. I mean, it's not possible. But again, it's like, what is not possible? Just what God doesn't want,
Right.
you know?
All things are possible.
Yes, I mean, so I was pretty ready to go home and meet my father, and I was actually very joyful. And well, what happened is that he allowed me to stay here still to tell you my story. And like I said at the beginning, everything leads up to these moments that I can share my story, that I can share the fact that God actually performs miracles, and that everything lies in His will, and that He, what seems like a problem is not a problem. It's a blessing, because it's the way He works. If I needed to be sick in order to go to MD Anderson, to end up in Houston, to have a scholarship, and to meet my husband, and to have my daughter, because that's what happened afterwards. I graduated. I have a master's degree in music, and I'm singing, and I'm here with you guys. But nothing would have happened if I hadn't had gone through what I went through. We have to have our sight on eternity, because this is just ephemeris. It'll go away in no time, and we will end up in eternity. And that's what we're losing sight of it. Like we suffer. I hear the phrase, "Oh, he lost his battle," or "She lost her battle with cancer," and I'm like, nobody loses a battle unless you give up. You have to fight. If you die, you die. But you did not lose your battle. Otherwise, we're all losers. We're all gonna die.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And we don't. We just keep going. Our mission, our responsibility is to fight for our lives, to fight to stay alive. If we don't, if we have to be called to our to face our Creator, it's fine. But you need life it's up to you. At the end of the journey, we want to say, I did what I could, and not I could have done more.
That's right.
Because the fight is up to us. The results are up to God.
Amen. Well, Barbara, thank you so much for sharing your life with us. You're an inspiration to many, many people.
Thank you.
God bless you. It's barbarapadilla.com. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back, so please don't go away.
Well, I know that you were inspired, you were delighted, you were enriched just by Barbara's incredible story. And I know that what a great blessing she is. And so thank you so much, Barbara, for sharing such a beautiful witness of life and love and truth. Well, Bob and Penny Lord have been mainstays here on EWTN for so many years. And even though both have passed, their ministry continues. So we want you to join us on Wednesday when we're going to talk with some of Bob and Penny's children and their grandchildren who are carrying on their journeys of faith. Remember, you are always at home with Jim and Joy, and you are an important part of our EWTN family. God bless you.